All right, all right. Greetings, greetings. Good afternoon, good day. Hope you all are wonderful. This is Haki Ammi, the Success Scholar here live, broadcasting from our Raising Consciousness and Capital page and our Teaching Artists Institute page on Facebook, as well as YouTube and our Thai TV page on YouTube. So you can follow those, of course, and or follow me on Haki Ammi. I'm broadcasting live on my Facebook pages as well as one of my LinkedIn's. So I have the distinct honor to introduce to some, but reintroduce to others an amazing sister who I've known for some years, and we've only been like talking and like little interactions and things like that. But I've seen her do tremendous work, and she shouldn't need no introduction to the world, but certainly to those in the Baltimore area and in the state of Maryland have seen this sister on many scenes, performing live just about everywhere. There's a place to be performing at, and she's an activist, a mom, and a community leader. Concerned Mama. She promotes Kwanzaa and African holistic parenting, and she's doing a good job with her watotos, her children, her kids, all of that. So, Olu Butterfly, welcome, sister. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Ah, man, I've been knowing you for some time, sister, and you always have done tremendous work. And of course, you've been working with the young people for the longest time. But you are a poet, right? In the traditional senses,
Absolutely. Yes,
right?
I'm a
And I
poet
have,
and
yeah, go ahead.
what?
No, I was gonna say I have
Oh,
one of your books. Go ahead.
you have one of my what?
You have a book, right? What's
Yes,
you
I do have
you
a
have?
book. It's called The Revenge of Dandelions, and I'm working on a
Right.
new book called Jupiter Memoirs.
Okay.
And
Okay. Beautiful.
yeah, and so yeah, I have been a poet in the literal sense, but also recognizing what a poet really does and what a poet is really all about. So yeah, we are speakers, we are sayers. In the Baltimore scene, I've seen poets be um, un. We've just been leaders. So, for example, if there's
Hmm.
something new, a new place to go, a new thing to support, a lot of times it's and traditionally this is kind of over some time. It'll be like the poets who are filling out the audience or filling out the lead. And I noticed that I was like, okay, all right, we don't always get our credit, but the poets are there.
Hmm. Right. Right. No. True. 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 And I started. I would say noticing you when I started going to organic. So organic. Wait a minute. I want to say
Mhm.
organo, but because I used to sell tea, but organic. So Tuesdays. That was the spot,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yes.
We
Yes.
did
So
it weekly for 11 years and
oh my
for
God,
15 years
11 years.
overall. Mhm.
Go ahead.
For 15 years overall, because we turned it into a quarterly series. We do plan to do
Okay.
some reunions coming up, and so yeah, that was that was one of our gifts to Baltimore, and I hope Baltimore felt and understood the love of what that was, which was we were traveling the world and
Mm.
doing art, and people would be like, "We know New York, we know LA, but what do y'all do in Baltimore?" And I was like, "Well, we got a lot of
Mm.
talent." And
Right.
but of course, our representative was what? The Wire. So
Mm.
people were asking all type of ridiculous questions. I know they said there's no dumb questions, but they'd be like, "So do you like leave out your house? Do people like shoot you? Like what?" These are real questions. And I'm
Right.
like, "That's a show. I'm not gonna act like it's not based on some real things, but
Mhm,
let's
mhm.
calm down, everybody." So so yeah, I knew a lot of talented people, and I knew that the way that people get out into the world and represent themselves, represent this for their city, is not just like by singing to their mirror in a
Mm,
hairbrush, right? Like
mhm,
like they needed some actual like space to interact with audiences and things like that. So that's how Organic Soul was born, as a
mhm.
platform for artists to develop, to commune. For
Right,
what I think is a great accomplishment of Organic Soul Tuesdays is we built a great audience.
right,
So
right.
they
Yes,
say,
yes.
um, great audiences make great artists,
Mm,
and
mm,
so and that's what would keep the artists coming, because they were like, okay, this is an audience that's open-minded, that's receptive, very present. It doesn't mean that we got to pretend we like everything we seeing, because that's kind of scary. I would go to places and people would just be like, like you
mhm,
say they be like, I'm like, what just happened? So it was very authentic and open-minded.
mhm.
So I think that has a lot to do with me. Like that's the spirit I was trying to cultivate. But people really showed up, and it was just really wonderful and diverse. And I hope it. One of the main things was to help Baltimore to have just higher self-esteem. Like,
Right.
Baltimore, you are beautiful, you are great, and do you know that? Do you It's like we feel like everywhere else is better. But I would travel and I'd be
Mm,
like, wow, we really did have something special in Baltimore. You'd be
mm,
surprised how people did see us and admired what we had. It wasn't like
mhm,
there was a lot of people beefing. It wasn't like there was a lot of people yeah, just even though we don't have a lot of industry here, there was a way that independent artists could really get along, get
mm,
could make money, could do different things, and now that's normal. But when we were doing it, it wasn't. Everybody was trying to get signed. Everybody was lined up in a contract to, like everybody's lined up to get a contract. No matter what their contract was, whether it was a good contract, bad contract, people ain't look that hard. They like, yo, I'm trying to get signed. I'm trying to get signed. And so, yeah, so it was like, oh wow, this is this whole other way of doing things.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
looking at that, with Fertile Ground and such, like there was a pioneering movement with the concept
Mm,
of independent artists right here in Baltimore.
right. No, and I mean, and I did a lot of volunteer work with Fertile Ground and down at this Jazzy Summer Thursdays, I believe. So
Hmm.
that's where I kind of got connected and started, observing, more from a cursory, just learning a lot. And because just coming up in Baltimore, for instance, I was, I mean, growing up, we don't, we as I did, I didn't necessarily experience the culture like that. My parents were not like, into art and music or nothing like that. It was just like surviving. You get what I'm saying? Just
Hmm.
go to school, boy. You know what I'm saying? Just that's it. It was, what I'm saying. You better get good grades. Something to that effect. But and then I went directly into uh, the military, and it was just like, okay, what does conscious mean to me, or I mean, I started reading a few books, and just begin to explore the world and learn more about myself and the dynamics of culture. For instance, how it you know mandates or it positions us in our consciousness. And so when I got out and then I came back and was, kind of, trying to get into the different scenes, for instance, to learn and just explore, meeting, you all and just really observing just how you've really impacted. I've seen just how, and even nationally, just how, as I travel a few different places up and down the East Coast, how, like you said, how the Fertile Ground, some of their songs have, really resonated throughout, the east, well, certainly the East Coast where I've been traveling. So, that those are some things to be, certainly proud of. And I've seen you in some videos and movies too. Like, I don't know. Tell people some of the things you've been in. What you were in, like a documentary on, was it not jazz? Was it
On dance. I was
yes.
in a documentary on jazz too, but that's not a story. That's like kind of an older thing. But or on soul. But yeah, so on Netflix, it's called Dark City Beneath the Beat. And it's actually about music. I mean about dance. So Baltimore
Mm,
is very much so um a dancing city, right? And as many African cities are. And so I love that it highlighted a kind of dance that I admire, that I call like Baltimore African dance, and
oh
not
wow.
necessarily that I'm an expert in, but I do my thing. And I love dance. I love to dance. I have been in Sankofa Dance Theater. I was in Sankofa Dance Theater for 20 years,
Oh,
and
for real?
dancing for longer than that. And so
I, di-
yeah,
I, I didn't know that.
so
No, I danced there too a little bit. Yeah, but you must.
okay, yes. In
Yeah.
the village,
Okay.
everybody dances.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I yes, so I connected with it as an artist and also as a dancer. So but I'm not dancing in the video. I'm doing a poem too that is about artists, period. So the filmmaker TT the artist, she's somebody who is a consummate artist in the sense of like she, whatever her medium is, she's just taking in life and creating. And so when she decided to do the film, and Baltimore is her adopted city,
Hmm.
um she was somebody who frequented Organic Soul Tuesdays, for example.
Oh wow.
So she yeah, so she invited me to be a part of the project, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm happy that it exists. It's like yet another thing, that is a representative of Baltimore in the world. There's plenty of that. There's not enough, meaning like if you think about how many like movies there are about New York, or rap songs there are about New
Hmm.
York, like you're not like, oh, not another one. It's too many. Like we could use a lot more. So I'm
Hmm.
happy that that exists in the world because it was obviously told by somebody who loves Baltimore. And yes, so that's something. I don't know. I some of my different things that I've done. I have co-founded the Baltimore City Youth Poetry Team, as well as
Oh,
an organization that's taken Baltimore City youth to Africa, Aya. So, and I have been part of the leadership of Do More Baltimore.
do more. What
We
is
have
it?
Do More Baltimore,
Okay.
and
Okay.
some of the things that they've managed to do, so many, is we've technically, had some national winners, some international winning teams, youth.
Hmm.
But what's beautiful about that is that they don't like win anything but bragging rights. So it's really about a community. And they have been some of the most inspiring and like articulate and leading young people. So those young people, for example, are the ones who led. Uh, there was a protest after the George Floyd incident,
Hmm.
and so they led a protest despite, as much as I'm like, about like justice, and I was very nervous. It was during a pandemic, etc.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
um, but it was all them. They led a protest that ended up attracting 15,000 people. Um,
Wow. Hmm.
so yeah, and I think it was just like alignment, right? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
they were like, we're tired of being in the house, or we feel like we really need to do something. Not
Hmm.
tired of being in the house, like it's like boredom, but like we feel like we need to do something, and we don't even know all of what we need to do, but we just want to show up with our bodies, like that matters. And And a lot of people also felt the same way, but they didn't trust. But the young people is somebody that they felt they could trust. So that's how
Mhm.
that ended up being the place where people congregated around what they had planned, for example. And I've also done a lot of like Afrofuturistic events. My book
Mhm.
Jupiter Memoirs is kind of an Afro fantasy
Oh,
experience that should be out soon. I was trying to use my birthday, which is coming up as a marker, but we gonna miss that one. But
oh,
so for example, I did a collaboration for Artscape, a major
oh.
outdoor gallery exhibit, and with Safiatu and Jason Harris. For
Oh, yeah, I
example,
know Jason. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. So
Okay.
um yeah, things like that. So what I've been doing lately is um looking for opportunities to integrate art into community building.
Mm,
And
mhm,
so that's where we are now. So I have some things in the works regarding that. Um
mhm,
using art as a practical tool for people to congregate around and to do envisioning. It's important that we um, plan our own futures, our collective futures, that we show up
mm,
for that, and that we disrupt, like that we disrupt the concept of inevitability. So there's some
mm,
people who tell us like this is what it's going to be, this is what it has to be, this is the way things have to be, or like this is what you have to work within, and it's just not true. And
mm,
so there's all this like AI trying to like mine and predict the future and then sell the future back to us. And
mm,
so I'm also like promoting spontaneity and like just do something like different from what the expectation is. Just do
mm,
something different. You always go this way to work. Go that way today. Go, just do stuff like spontaneous, out the box, be unpredictable a little bit, make it a little harder for something to track
mhm,
you and say, I know you. No, you
mhm,
don't.
mhm. Wow. Wow. Beautiful. No, I appreciate what you said about using art in terms of community building, because I feel that it's like when we don't see beautiful image, like you said earlier, something about the self-esteem. When we don't see art, even in some real like urban environments, it definitely affects who you perceive yourself to be if you don't see positive images as well as different healthy colors. For instance, when it's streets are dull, uh, you know those are some of the things. And one of the things that I saw recently, like some even with the art activism that's been going on with some of the Black Lives Matter, just painting BLM, as well, adding their different art to it to create like a consciousness, like like an awakening, if you will. And that's one things that we have to recognize. I mean, I know that some people are so, for instance, political that they want to ignore this force, right? The culture, the drum, uh, the spoken word, so the dance. So, but many different cultures use it as a force, right?
Hmm.
Yes, yes. So, uh,
Yeah.
so some of the things, yeah. Go ahead if you want to expand on that. Or I was done. If you
Oh
want.
no, I'm just listening.
Okay, yeah. So no, and I appreciate that. And I've seen you, do some things with Artscape, of course, over the years. And did they cancel it like last year? I can't remember. Or was it the year before?
Woo!
I'm sorry if you can't
Yeah,
speak. Yeah, right. Go
so
ahead.
far it's been canceled, but it's supposed to return in 2023. I know there's like been some um dispute around the timing. So I don't know what the latest
Right.
evolution is, but it is supposed to be back in 2023.
Right, right. I recall, and even just recently with the MLK parade, for instance, there were some. I
Mhm.
saw that they mentioned Artscape in the same conversation, so I'm just like, wow. But and I'm one that's one of the things that we're passing with the Teaching Artists Institute is the housing and with you know artists like being able to do their art, but also to have supportive networks, partners, and institutions where they feel comfortable and safe and protected and edified, if you will, because even when we are in Africa or in even in the schools, and you can talk about even if you've done any work within the schools, do you feel like that it's being minimized or eliminated or reduced?
What art?
Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna always champion art and suppress it at the same time. I'm not gonna say always. There goes my inevitability language that I need to disrupt, right? So I have seen many times them take up a campaign again about how art is equal to all other disciplines and it needs to be funded properly and blah 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 blah. But then it seems like we come back to art having to fight for its life or defend itself by saying it's good for these other things. So we say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, art helps your math scores.
Mm-hmm.
Art, you know, yeah, it's like it helps your IQ. I'm like, listen, art keeps us alive. It's food for your inner self. It's the way that you live. Everything that you do has been designed from a space of nothing to something. It's the inside of the world come to the outside. It's just necessary. And it's not just for galleries, it's not just for people of certain income brackets, it's how we live. And so of course, it is underdone, or one thing that it can be harmful in how it's been done. It can be alienating, just like all the other subjects, meaning that a lot of people have art trauma where they
Mm-hmm.
had a not so great experience with the art teacher, especially like I've heard a lot of people say that around like visual art, and then it made them like not want to do it ever again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like how, I was talking to a young man in the office who felt like he was being in a campaign. He was being campaigned against by his teacher, and I was like, art. I was like, how you getting kicked out of art, my man? But it's real, right? So it can be done in a way that's actually harmful. And what I have is it strove to do? What's the past tense? Strived. What I have strived to do is I could say strove. I could make up a word, but anyway, what I have strived to do, what I loved about being a teaching artist with Dumore and in general, even um, for a decade before Dumore, was that I felt that I wasn't necessarily respected by the institution, but it's like we had church. They left us alone. So if they're going to cut something, the first thing to be cut is going to be art. It's something if there seems like there's some problem solving that needs to happen, they're going to be like, oh, you're messing up. Cut this, cut that. You're the first to go. You're the least respected. But I knew I should mention that I have an engineering degree and I've been a math teacher, right? So I've taught math and I've taught poetry. And I've taught dance. So when I teach poetry, we're like in the outskirts of like, like here, you be in this corner and I don't know what y'all be doing, just whatever. And they
Mm-hmm.
would leave us alone. So it might not have been the most pay, it might not have been the most respected, but it was protected in a different kind of way where we could be ourselves and be human with these young people who don't get to be human all day. They get to be told what to do, what to think. They're treated as receptacles, receiving. They aren't necessarily listened to. And so making a space where they can be human, especially
Mm,
because school tends to just want one piece of you. Like if you try to come with all of who you are, they'd be like, slow down, calm down, you're doing too much, right? Like, and they wouldn't say it like that. You would probably get in trouble, or, it's just like, listen, we're here to do biology. What are you doing with all of that you bring in?
mm,
So being able to create a space where they can be human and be authentic and be
mm,
valued for some of the things that they get hushed about otherwise. So that was what I felt like was really important about we were doing much more than like teaching art. Like it's this whole other thing.
mm,
So
mm. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, definitely, definitely, I admire much of your work, and so what other things you got going on that you would like for the Baltimore listening audience to support your initiative, support your new book, your old book, or any other programs uh, that you have coming up here? You've got your amazing
well,
children.
I have something coming up in the spring called Garden Art Party, and
Okay, okay.
that is about using art
Hmm.
to commune and encourage people to grow food. And and you don't have to do it in isolation. So part of my motivation is um my Gullah heritage, my my travels, especially in West Africa, where you see people, gardening and farming is a communal activity. And
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
children might gather in the morning to pick the little tiny beans or peanuts
Hmm. Hmm.
in
Wow.
each other's farm. Like we're going here today, we're going there tomorrow, and it's just part of life. And so the idea that so we do need to learn how to grow our own food again. And it doesn't have to be our entire profession, but it's very
Hmm.
necessary. Food security and inflation, that should all like tell us a little something, something. But we can be proactive. So that's like
Hmm.
part of the idea. So using art to do that, the garden art party, and so yes, that's coming up in the fall. So I'm partnering with different community gardens. So to be clear, I'm not an expert in growing food, but they
Hmm.
are. And so
Right.
it's about kind of bringing people to that, and also like if more people come to this, how can that make it more sustainable? How can that make it bigger? And how can we connect more? And because connection is the cure for a lot of things that are wrong with Baltimore.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So and then yes, and my book is called Jupiter Memoirs.
Hmm.
That is I have been a liar about when it's coming out. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
just take a moment and pause. I'm in the middle of, so I'm on the front lines. Like when we talk about fighting for justice, this is not like a hobby. So my own
Hmm.
life right now
Right.
is a fight for justice. So
That's it.
that's taking the forefront. And but I will
Hmm.
be moving forward with it. I have a great team. It's a collaboration with Sugar Bear, and also a friend of mine named Darian Robbins. He's helping to bring it together because me and Sugar Bear are two Aquarians
Me
born two
too.
days.
Yeah. Right. That's what's up. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. You are. Yeah. Yes. Right. Right.
so we're born 2 days apart, and the two of us, we be all creative, but it don't be moving forward till we get that Virgo in the middle. So that's what's
Right.
going on with the book. And
Hmm.
and yeah, and so those are like two main things. But yeah, if I call y'all to come, help create a new world, just come on.
That's right. That's right. No, I appreciate you. And, sometimes I just show up when I see you post something, like how I showed up at that. I don't know. It was something, up in Bolton Hill. So, it wasn't
Hmm.
Bolton Hill. Up, yeah, but
Reservoir Hill.
Right. Reservoir Hill, right. When I was like, let me just go and support, see what I can do to support someone. So, and that's what it takes. It takes a lot of us doing a little bit. So, but thank you, sister. I just wanted to, say I see you. Sometimes we have to be intentional about, individuals we see serving our youth, and they're not necessarily asking, for any and everything. So I just wanted to let you know, from me to you, and for other brothers and sisters in Baltimore, we see you, we appreciate you, and we will support you. Ain't that right? To the thousand listening audience out there, let's support this sister, however we can. And I'm definitely gonna do that myself. So we got you, sister. Keep on keeping on, and thank you. And tuck them young ones in. And I shall see you soon. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Bye
right. Peace
bye.
and blessings. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are out. We are out. Peace and blessings.